Hey y'all, Irix Sky here. Welcome back to another Epic Drone Show live. And I am using YouTube's new streaming software now. So if you notice anything that's a little bit different, let me know, because this is the first time I've used YouTube's new streaming interface. Now, at the time of hosting this live show, it's approximately 10:35 a.m. New York City time. So if you're watching around that time, this is a live show, meaning that anything you type within the YouTube video's comments while I'm live, I'll be able to see. I see that a lot of people are tuning in. We've got N here. N says, "What happened?" Great question. What did you experience? Did the intro kind of pop from the end to the beginning or something? Because that was the audio is really bad. Okay, let me fix that. The audio. Let's see here. Testing 1 2. Testing. Testing 1 2. Is the audio? Is it just not clear, or is it? Do I not have the volume? Lots of interference. Okay, that's probably the fan on my laptop there. Let's see. Let me adjust this. Is that better? Is that audio better now? Let me make sure there's nothing else that's running here that could be impacting the audio. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mute the audio. When I muted the audio, did you still hear the interference, or do you only hear the interference while I'm speaking? And by the way, is there anybody, well, a dumb question, there are a lot of people out there that are watching right now. Can anybody comment regarding the audio and the video quality? Is there anything that you see that doesn't seem to be correct? Like I said, I'm using a different, the new YouTube streaming interface for this. First time I've ever used it. I've always used the previous version. I had problems in the beginning, but then I was able to sort them all out. So hopefully the audio is fine. Let's see. Just lots of interference. You can only hear you over the noise. Huh. Interesting. There must be something with, because the only thing I've changed, again, I'm using the same microphone, the same computer, the same internet connection. So the only variable is the YouTube live streaming interface. I'm using the most current YouTube live streaming interface. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started here. I want to remind everyone you can, and I'm assuming it's part of the new YouTube live streaming interface as well. But you still should see Super Chat. If you choose to click that, you're more than welcome to. It's a new feature that, well, it's a somewhat new feature. YouTube rolled it out a while ago that'll enable you to participate in Super Chat if you choose to do so. Also, as a reminder, before we get rolling here, check out epicdroneshow.com, epicdroneshow.com, for all of your drones, your drone accessories, Epic Drone Show merch, and a whole lot more. Okay, Jesus says audio is clear. N says I can hear you now. Cool. There must have been something that was just maybe some sort of buffering or something. Something I do have my network engineers. They're working on the internet connection, so hopefully I'll be able to broadcast live in 1080p and maybe even 4K as soon as YouTube adds the 4K live streaming. I don't think 4K live stream is available for YouTube at the time of hosting this, but I may be incorrect. Excuse me. But yeah, we've got, obviously a lot of drone stuff coming this year. It seems the Phantom 5 or the Phantom X, it seems like that's probably going to materialize. Now, how is it going to be executed? Is it going to be a foldable design? Is it going to have a modular camera? I think it's safe to assume, at least to my knowledge, probably both of those will probably be true, because I don't see DJI putting something out there that is going to be tough for their customers to want to buy. They've got the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom, which are both awesome, very portable, great battery life, great controls, handle well in moderate wind. So, since they've released such a stellar, high-quality performer in both wind high quality performer from video quality perspective, video quality and video stability, it's going to be tough for them to come out with something and try to sell that's potentially larger, potentially heavier, potentially less convenient to travel with. So, it's really going to be interesting to see what what DJI brings to the table when and if they do execute and release the Phantom 5 or the Phantom X, whatever they want to call it. But I think in the meantime, there's a lot of cool things that DJI is doing that a lot of us may not have even noticed. I think their smart controller for the Mavic 2 is very nice, and hopefully going to pick one of those up soon. I'm hoping, and again, nothing's guaranteed, but I'm hoping that we'll see those smart controllers at a discount soon. That would be great, because it is nice being able to have an all-in-one integrated system for controlling the Mavic 2 that doesn't depend upon having a smartphone tethered to it. So that's, that definitely provides value. But I think the coolest thing recently, at least from my perspective, the coolest thing recently that I've been playing with is the Osmo Pocket. Now, taking it right out of the pocket, and let me grab my Osmo Pocket here. I think I left it in my other. I'm gonna have to get it. I put it in my other backpack. But yeah, the Osmo Pocket, I've really enjoyed it because I'm able to capture drone-like footage handheld. And the Osmo Pocket, if you get it and you film some footage with it, and then you can adjust the white balance, because sometimes I found that right out of the camera the Osmo Pocket's white balance isn't perfect. But you import that video into Final Cut Pro 10 or whatever you use to edit and adjust the white balance. I mean, that footage looks rock solid. I mean, there's some shots that I filmed. Check out my recent Sipsey Wilderness video, and you'll see for yourself. I mean, the quality that the Osmo Pocket, such a small and lightweight camera, can capture, and that's it's super incredible. So I've got the charging case coming for it, and I look forward to featuring that on the channel soon. Again, if you're looking for the Osmo Pocket, the drones, everything, just go to epicdroneshow.com, and that's greatly appreciated. But surprised we haven't really seen, as far as drone news is concerned, haven't seen a lot of other would-be DJI competitors. It's like in the beginning we had a lot of people, and we even saw, Parrot. Parrot came out and said, "Oh, well, we're not." They implied that they're not just a toy company anymore. That Parrot was wanting to become perceived as a serious drone manufacturer when they released the Anafi. So, it would be awesome to see an Anafi 2. I think that what Parrot brought us with Anafi 1 simply foreshadowed what Parrot can be capable of in the future. And that's what they gave us. It was a good drone. Anafi was a good drone. But, side by side with the Mavic Air, Mavic Air is just, it's so much better. It's just, when you pick up the Mavic Air, you know that you're holding a premium product. You pick up the Anafi, at least I question, well, how long will these propellers hold up? How long will the overall frame of the Anafi hold up? I mean, it's cool, it's small, it's lightweight, but how's the longevity of that drone? And, for something that expensive, those are components that are important. So at least they're important for me. But I do want to see an Anafi 2.0, not just because it may be better than a DJI drone, but because it at least signals Parrot's seriousness rather, to want to compete with DJI, because that's what DJI doesn't have. They don't have competition. I mean, there's other drone manufacturers, but they put something out and it's just like, well, that's kind of cool, but, and people say but, and that's because they're not completely satisfied. And I'm not saying I'm completely satisfied with DJI drones, because I'm not. Someone would have to be a fool to say that they're completely satisfied with something, that there's nothing that could be done better. Because more than likely, whether it's a drone or whatever, there's often always something that could be done better. I mean, it may already be great, but there's always minor tweaks and then major tweaks. I mean, you look at the automobile industry, for example. There may be an automobile manufacturer that for 3 or 4 or 5 years straight may release what seems to be pretty much the same vehicle. Cosmetically it looks the same, but under the hood there's a lot of subtle changes that make the next version of that vehicle better because they're learning as they go. And then every 5 years or so, they may do a radical redesign. And when they do that, it may be well perceived by the consumers. It may be poorly perceived by the consumers. But then that enables the automobile manufacturer to go out and tweak their new design and make it more refined. So it's the same way with drones. I mean, we're seeing the biggest radical change was when DJI said, hey, we're gonna make something that's gonna go head to head with our bread and butter drone, with our Phantom. And then that's when they released the first Mavic Pro. And things just kind of progressed from there. You saw DJI, they came out with Mavic Pro, and then they were really testing the customers. They were like, well, is the customer going to go with something that's even smaller and even more lightweight but does not do 4K? And they brought us a Spark. The Spark was the least interesting drone in my opinion. I mean, I like the fact that they were going so small and so lightweight, but the really gimped battery life and the absence of 4K video made it tough for me to consider, especially at the price point. I think one of the coolest things that DJI put out, and actually it was Rise Technology, I think in close collaboration with DJI, but the Tello. And I think that was a really cool drone because, yeah, it's mostly, and again, it's not a toy because it's a drone, it's an aircraft, but it's one of those things that, it's fun for anyone to pick up and play with and get a better understanding of how I just put a link within the YouTube comments, but to get a better understanding of how a drone functions. And that's a good gateway drone. Somebody picks up a Tello and they start playing with it and they like, well, drones are fun, or hey, I hate drones. They develop an opinion, and then after developing that opinion, then they're able to better explore the hobby. Maybe they decide, well, this is a hobby worth getting into, and instead of spending that much for a Tello, now I'm going to spend this much to get a more serious drone. It's just a great segue drone. Get involved with the hobby. Even if you're convinced that you may not even like the hobby, if you pick up a Tello, for a lot of people, it's not going to be a lot of money wasted. If you don't like it, well, at least now you don't like it and you didn't put a lot of money into the hobby. You just started with something very entry level. But it's going to be 2019, especially when we hit the summer. As it's already spring. But I think between now and summer, I'm hoping that we start to see something materialize. Because, Mavic 2 is great. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to dethrone the Mavic 2 Pro. Because, with that 1-inch sensor Hasselblad camera, it's just really good. Phenomenal video quality, phenomenal photo quality. It's just a really good performer. And the battery life. And again, the weight, the size, the weight, just the overall portability of the Mavic 2 is exceptional. It's a class-leading design at this point in time. It's the best in class. So, and again, that's my opinion, but I've developed my opinion because, playing with a bunch of different drones, I know what works well and I know what doesn't. I mean, the intro to this live show, I filmed that with a Phantom 4, and it's fine. And it's not too big and it's not too heavy, but I mean, obviously, when I was tasked with the decision, now how am I going to capture some really cool footage for my YouTube channel, and I knew that, okay, all I've got is a kayak, and I've got to go about 2.5, 3 nautical miles to an island, but I've got to take not only a drone, but I've got to take my camera equipment, and I've got to take, food and water so that I can stay hydrated and energized. that was a tough decision, and it worked. I mean, with the Phantom 4, because the Mavic 2 wasn't available at the time I filmed that, the Phantom 4 worked great. You know, I just got the Phantom 4 and I put it in this little glorified styrofoam case, and then I put that in my dry bag backpack. And you can find that, by the way, just go to epicdroneshow.com and you can find the dry bag that I used for the Phantom 4 there. But it's just, you know, it's really cool. There's a lot of things that you got to take into consideration as an adventure videographer, adventure photographer. There's a lot of things you got to take into consideration, and typically, and a lot of people they'll say, you know, the best camera that anybody has is a camera they have with them. So, you know, being able to get a smaller and more lightweight drone, that's why I'm so adamant about DJI not, you know, not embracing the larger and heavier drones, because they're doing away with a lot of not just convenience, but they're doing away with a lot of otherwise awesome video and photo shoots that would be captured if somebody had the drone with them. N says, in the picture quality from its 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor, if DJI does a Mavic 3 with better camera for photography, I would be very interested. Plus, there must be companies out there for neutral densities. And then N says, hi, N from UK. It's 3:40 here. I have the Phantom 4 Pro myself and love it for the video 4K. Yeah, the 4K video, the 4K 60 from the Phantom 4 Pro is nice. I will say, though, I think the video, I like the color in the video from the Mavic 2 Pro more than I like the color in the video from the Phantom 4 Pro. And again, I know you can adjust that saturation within post, but I don't know, it's just personal preference. So yeah, we've got you know, we got a fun 2019 ahead of us, and that's the you know, one of the best things about drones. You know, typically there's always something new and exciting that's coming to the playing field, and you know, right now with you know, with the we're kind of in a weird period, and we do have the NAB, which is the big broadcaster show that's going on. So I don't know if you know, I've heard rumors that DJI is not going to be at NAB. So, you know, I don't know if we're necessarily going to see something from DJI super soon, or if we may have to wait a little bit. You know, that's going to be you know, to be determined. Ian says, if DJI did an 8-bit 4K camera on a drone, I would love that for color grading in post. Yeah, color grading in post, and everyone out there that's not necessarily familiar with the term color grading, from a photography perspective, you've probably heard of RAW, R-A-W, raw images. And what raw images at a high level are, it's not just a JPEG that's out of the camera ready to use. It's a RAW, so it's got all the camera's data. And the value that provides is that if you really want to refine the color, you know, maybe you've got something overly maybe the lighting's not good, whatever, there's a lot of tweaks you can perform within post-production to make that raw image look awesome. Whereas if you were working with an out-of-the-camera JPEG, you could still adjust those saturation levels, you could still adjust the exposure, but the results wouldn't be as professional looking as had that image been originally captured in RAW. And for that reason, all of my Sony Alpha cameras, the only way that I shoot is RAW with my Sony Alpha cameras. And I do the same with the drone for stills. With Mavic 2 Pro, I shoot in RAW with that as well. But what N is talking about with the 8-bit 4K camera, you know, being able to color grade video. So now we're not talking about color grading a still photo. We're talking about color grading video. And that's where you take an already awesome video, and by color grading it, you've got greater creative control over the saturation, the exposure, all the different, you know, settings that make a video. It's like, you know, if you, for example, if you film a video in a room with what am I trying to say, with poor lighting. Let's see, I got some congestion here. Let me get this. It was an online backup that kicked off. But yeah, if you film a video in a room with, you know, with lighting that doesn't look good, that can really ruin the look of the video. But if you filmed let's see. Speaking of that, I'm checking the setting here for something. Let's see. I don't see it. I was going to adjust the white balance for the camera that I'm using for this live show. And white balance is actually really easy to it's really easy to adjust. If you just find something that's pure white, for example, that white strip on my shirt, if you adjust the white balance and you match the pure white within the image, it makes everything look pretty good. You know, you don't have that yellow color from the indoor lighting that you probably have. You know, it just makes a difference between something that's mediocre and very professional. So, let's see here. But yeah, we're going to have a great year. Ian says it's good for highlight and low light control and colors. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one thing I'm already doing, I'm trying to get here in the next few months, I'm going to get some really cool footage from from whatever drone's out there. I'm hoping there's going to be a new drone. If there's not, I'm going to get some really cool footage from my Mavic 2 Pro. But you know, just trying to find different places to go and capture. You know, places where flying drones or where it's not frowned upon. I mean, there's so many places now, unfortunately, that with let's see. Here we go. Here's some. Let me see what this color does. Whoa! Look at that. Whoa! Woohoo! That was pretty crazy. Okay, now I'm back. I was just playing around with some color stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, that was crazy how that did that. This real-time chroma key is always really cool because, you know, it's once you, and by the way, the real-time chroma key tutorial video that I promised everyone several months ago, I put that together and I'm going to be posting it to my website and obviously to my YouTube channel as well. You know, my website is irixsky.com, but I'm going to explain how to do the real-time chroma keying. Not necessarily directly related to drones, but you know, it's something that that a lot of people are probably curious about. You know, that watch a YouTube live show such as this one. Ian says, "Do you know of any good companies where we can get good quality ND filters and half grads for which drone or which camera?" Let's see here. Wow. Yeah, I was just doing some digging here online. It's funny that y'all remember. Let me get a link to this video. This was I wonder if this thing's still around. Let's see. This drone right here was funny. Let's see, I gotta get the link for y'all here. Dylan, welcome aboard. Dylan says hi. Welcome aboard. That drone, the Typhoon H, that was back in 2016. And remember, it came out, and I had high hopes for that drone, and then it was like, God, this thing looks cool. And I think it had what was it that it had that was special? It was the extra propeller or whatever. If in theory one of them failed that it should be able to still fly or something like that. Instead of having 4, it had 6. So that was cool, man. But that thing was so big and it was so heavy. And let's see. Ian says, "Who is the man walking past in a nappy?" That was hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. That's dude looked like he had a diaper on or something. I don't know. I mean, you run into some weird stuff. You definitely run into some weird stuff, and that's just one example of weird stuff that I've run into here. So yeah, it's hard to explain some things. I tell you, it's pretty crazy. But oh, great question. Brad says, "What do you think of the Sony RX02?" That is a camera that I'm super interested in, and everybody go to my website irixsky.com or epicdroneshow.com, and you'll be able to find the RX02 there. But it's at a high level. It's kind of I like the number one. There's a few things I really like about it. And I don't have one yet. Joseph, welcome aboard, dude. The what am I trying to say? The RX02, it looks like a GoPro in size and shape, but what makes it different is it is a Sony Zeiss lens, and also it has a pop-up screen, which is really cool. Without having my hands on the RX02 yet, it's hard to really develop an opinion. I think that if it performs well underwater, I think it could be a very good camera for the beach, where you're going to go dry conditions. It does have stabilization, which is cool. I'd like to see how that compares to the GoPro Hero 7's black stabilization. But, obviously, with it being software stabilized, I wouldn't expect it to meet or exceed the Osmo Pocket's stability. And that's because the Osmo Pocket has a mechanically stabilized gimbal. So, with that said, the fact that it is a Zeiss lens and it's made by Sony, I'm excited. I love Sony cameras. I may pick one up for some snorkeling, but as far as on dry ground, I'm either going to use my Sony Alpha or I'll use my Osmo Pocket for when I'm moving around. I'll use the Osmo Pocket to capture motion. But yeah, the RX0 has definitely caught my attention. And what I'm most excited about, and it's not a drone and it's not an action camera, but the A7S is in SAM, A7S III. I think that camera is going to be phenomenal, and I'm hoping with the A7S III that for the first time they'll bring us a forward-facing LCD screen. But again, time will tell. So, it's let's see what we got here. Joseph says, "What do you think of the Sony QX100 lens for the cell phone?" Well, and I'm going to play dumb here. I'm not much of a cell phone camera guy, even with the iPhones and this, that, and the other. So I wouldn't be able to provide quality guidance there. I mean, I'm not, again, it's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. But I will say that since it's a Sony, I love Sony, and I'm assuming that since it's Sony, it's probably good. But again, I don't follow cell phones closely at all. So, I'm not, beyond the fact that it's a Sony, and that makes me feel excited, I can't really add any additional value there. But great question. Let's see. So what do we have here? Yeah, so this new YouTube live interface is pretty cool. I've been keeping an eye on everything here to see if I can break it, and so far I haven't been able to break it. Pop out chat. Let's see what pop out chat is. Oh, that's pretty cool. It lets me pop the chat out from the main screen there, and then I've got an option that says participants. Shows all the participants. That's cool. Thanks, man. Thanks, Joseph. I'm trying to again, I'm working with my network engineers to get a faster internet connection. So when I do that, hopefully this will be in 1080, and then when YouTube supports it, 4K, because I'll have the bandwidth to be able to accomplish that, which ought to be pretty cool. Brad says, let's see. Brad says, any idea or thoughts on what DJI might be releasing on the 23rd? Well, you know, a possibility is the Phantom 5 or the Phantom X. And also, you know, we may see a Pro model of the Osmo Pocket. You know, maybe something with the Hasselblad camera like we have on the Mavic 2 Pro. You know, with a 1-inch sensor. That's a possibility. You know, another possibility is something completely unexpected. I mean, they've thrown us... Remember when they threw us the Spark? We didn't expect that, or at least I didn't. And, you know, there's something that could always be a possibility. One of the new trends, and I feel that it's a very annoying and painful trend among camera manufacturers and pretty much every industry, is the is the subscription-based model. So I don't. I hope DJI doesn't go down that path. You know, even Apple. You know, they're trying to subscription this, subscription that. It's just it's annoying. So hopefully DJI doesn't go that route. Joseph says, what do you think of the Hero 7? Check out my Hero 7 Black videos on my channel. Let me get a link to that and see what I captured with it. It'll be just a second here. I'm getting you a link to the Hero 7 Black. But I thought the stabilization for the Hero 7 Black was good. It's what's the word for it? It's not as smooth and as good looking as the Osmo Pocket. But with that said, it's a waterproof camera, you know, and the Osmo Pocket is not. So, you know, it's got that adds value. Also, the Hero 7 Black is more, it should be more durable. I mean, with the Osmo Pocket, you've got the mechanical gimbal on the top. You know, should you fall or should you bang it into something while filming, there's a good possibility that the Osmo Pocket may not hold up. You know, I would think that the Hero 7 Black would probably be more durable than the Osmo Pocket just because of the more ruggedized design. Something really weird that YouTube's done, and I'm trying to find this playlist for you. Okay, let's see. There's Hero 6 Black. I've noticed some of my playlists have just mysteriously disappeared. It's very, very strange. Because I know I had Hero 7 Black playlist, and I'm not seeing it here. Let me see. Well, maybe I'll find it here. Let's see. Hero 7 Black. Oh, I see what it is. For whatever reason, it's like some of... because YouTube's got this new interface and old interface. And if I'm in the new interface won't always show all of my playlists. So I have to go back to the old interface. Hopefully they work out that bug. Let's see here. Be just a second. Okay, I'm looking for... trying to find that video for you, man. Digging it up, digging it up. Be just a second here. Okay, here we go. I'm having a dumb moment. I'll check out, just search my channel for GoPro. You should be able to find all his videos. But Ian says, have you tried the Autel Evo? I have seen one vlog on this drone. It looks pretty cool. I have not tried it. The reason being is that I feel that it's overpriced. I feel that for that price point, for a company that hasn't been around as long as DJI, as a hobbyist, it's hard to dive into those uncertain waters and play with something that potentially may become unsupported. That's one thing I say about DJI. When I get a DJI, I feel fairly confident that, you know, being able to buy batteries, accessories, and that sort of thing is going to be pretty easy. For that reason, with a small, and I love the fact that people are trying to compete with DJI, but for that reason, I couldn't. I personally wouldn't feel confident. I wouldn't feel confident jumping into those waters. And at least from what I've seen online, I haven't seen anything that anyone's posted for that Evo that has come close to the video quality of the Mavic 2 Pro. So, Joseph says, what do you think of rib cage for GoPro to add a lens to it? I mean, honestly, dude, I think with GoPro, when I think of the GoPro and the use case, I don't think about adding lenses. This is just my personal use case. I don't think about that kind of stuff because when I'm using the GoPro, I'm using it in, you know, situations where the camera can't get wet. So, you know, I'm snorkeling with it, or, you know, I'm going out and it's raining, or taking it out on a boat. That's when I'm using a GoPro. And if the land is dry, or if the conditions are dry, that's when I'm just going to use my Sony Alpha, because I'm going to get much better video with the Sony Alpha with the interchangeable lens than I could ever get with a GoPro. So for me, the GoPro is a B-roll camera. You know, it's a secondary camera that I'm using to capture action shots to mix in among the face on video segments and other footage that I filmed with the Sony Alphas. So yeah, we're let's see, this new interface is cool. I'm trying to see if it shows. So we started at 9:34. Started this live show at 9:34. Yeah, it looks like everything's holding strong. Has anybody had a chance to check out the Super Chat to see if Super Chat works in this new interface? Yeah, that's one thing I'm kind of curious about. It's the Super Chat. But yeah, no problem, Joseph. I mean, that's, again, it's a matter of the user, but you know, I'm from the wheelhouse that even if GoPro was the only camera that I had, you know, there comes a point to where, you know, someone tries to Frankenstein a device to do so many things, and it may do it, and it may do it somewhat well, but if you look at the cost that adds up as you start to do this, and that, versus just getting a secondary camera for that use case, you know, you may find that having a secondary camera may be the better option, and stick with the GoPro for the action type stuff and where it can get wet. Again, that's just one way of thinking about it. It's not necessarily right or wrong. So typically, when I'm out in the field, I've got I've got a Sony Alpha, I've got a tripod, I've got a Osmo Pocket, I've got a GoPro, I've got a a drone, In today's world, it's the Mavic 2 Pro. Ian says, for me and my vlogs, I'm trying to find a decent vlogging camera, but don't want to use my Canon EOS R. Do you have a recommendation for a good 4K small vlogging camera? Actually, I do. Do you have a budget that you have to stay within, or does that matter? There's some options here. I'm going to get you a link right here. Let's see, I'm getting you the link. So on the low end of the spectrum, on the lower end of the spectrum, this is probably what I would go with. And you can find the camera there on the link that I just shared. But you can also find my opinions. And at a high level, I think it brings a lot of value for the vlogging type use case. Being able to have that pop-up screen, see yourself face on video, that's nice. The battery that it uses is not as good as the other option that I would suggest. So this would be my more expensive option, but with it, let's see, let me get you the link here. This would be a more expensive option, and this one right here is full frame. The one I just linked, the second one. So yeah, and both of these are lightweight. Saying that you don't want to feel like you've done a workout. Both of these options would be lightweight. So from that perspective, yeah, like Joseph said, you could use a GoPro with a Rode mic. That's a good setup with a Joby tripod. Yeah, the little tripod. Actually, that's funny. I've got one of those right here. Something like this. You could just put your camera on that, and you've got a just a hand grip, or you can put it on the ground, turn it into a tripod. You can find that on my website too. But it's if you want to go full frame, I think the second option I put, the A7 III, is probably your best bet. Battery life on A7 III is phenomenal. A7 III does not have a forward-facing screen though, so if you need to see where you are, the 6400 that I linked first is probably the better option. But with that said, what I do with my A7 III, I use if I'm filming on a tripod versus walking, I'll just pull up my app on my phone and confirm that I'm properly within the camera's field of view, and then I'm good. I've also got a field monitor that I'll attach to it if I need to see, on the lens side of the camera where I am. Yeah, Ian made a good point. Good to have a zoom lens. And, speaking of that, I've been around the block with prime versus zoom. And one of the best vlogging lenses that I've had. And it's not a zoom lens. I'm trying to get a link here. Prime lenses are typically going to be lighter, and they're typically going to provide better video quality. But the zoom lens adds a lot of versatility. Typically for vlogging, I'm going to use a 25mm or maybe an 18mm if I'm walking around. But also for vlogging, travel type videos where you may need to do a face-on video segment, it's nice to have that extra zoom where you can zoom in to like 70mm or so and get the really professional face-on video type look. So, but yeah, Well, we've been at this for almost an hour. We've had a good turnout here. I appreciate everyone tuning in. You know, again, check out epicdroneshow.com, and again, I'm going to link it within the comments. epicdroneshow.com. Check it out for all your drones, drone accessories, drone merchandise, Epic Drone Show merchandise, T-shirts, and a whole lot more. You can find it all on epicdroneshow.com. If there's ever anything that you're looking for, and is the A7 4K 60? Nope, A7 III and A7R top out at 4K 30. But there's a rumor that A7S III, which is not yet released, there's a rumor that it may do 4K 60 or better. So I'm really excited about that. Check the specs within the link. I'm assuming it's probably lighter than the Canon alternatives. Now that's assuming you don't get, you don't get like a G Master. G Masters are pretty heavy. Actually, one of my primary lenses that I use now, and I use the A7R III now because I needed the extra resolution for stills. But and actually the A7 III I found is better for video, better autofocus. But you know, if you put a G Master on there, those lenses can become quite heavy. So you know, keep that in mind. Even though the camera body itself is super lightweight, if you put a G Master on there, it's probably going to get pretty heavy. You know, for that reason, I would check out, if you want to go with primes, check out the Zeiss Batis. If you want to go with a third-party brand, check out the Tamron 28 to 70 or 28 to 75. And you can find all of those on my website. Let me get you a link to the Tamron here. I've really enjoyed that lens. Small and lightweight. Not quite as good, and again, good subjective, but I still give an edge to the G Master 24 to 70. With that said, this Tamron is a lot smaller and a lot lighter, so that smaller size and lighter weight, especially for vlogging, when you're trying to keep your overall weight down, that makes everything really good. Oh, Ian, no problem, man. And again, check out my website for all of your camera and lens needs. And if there's anything you don't see listed, shoot me a message. The best way to get me is facebook.com/IRIXGuy. And I'll be more than happy to send links to any sort of camera, lens, anything you're looking for. So with that being said, we got RC King tuned in here. Welcome aboard. Been in this live show for about an hour, so going to go ahead and conclude. Again, I appreciate everyone's viewership. And again, just as a reminder, check out epicdroneshow.com for all of your drones and drone accessories. It helps me a ton. Being an independent YouTuber, I couldn't run this channel and capture the content that I capture for this channel without your viewership, subscriptions, and support. Again, it's completely optional, but if you choose to support me, there's several ways you can. And also, I'm on Patreon. If you expand this video's description and then click the link there, you can find me on Patreon. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Y'all have a good day. I'm going to yep, cool, man. Y'all have a good one, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this show up. Thanks for your viewership. Hey y'all, IRIXGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.